Well, thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. To begin our conversation on tackling premature political campaigns, here is a background report put together by Timothy Yusuf.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has cautioned politicians and political parties against engaging in premature campaign activities ahead of the 2027 general elections. According to INEC, such activities are unlawful and violate the Electoral Act. In a recent meeting convened by the election management body to address premature campaigning, INEC warns that campaign activities should only commence 150 days before the election, as stipulated in Section 9(4), subsection 1 of the Electoral Act. Lack of enforcement power is another concern raised by INEC, saying that it lacks the legal authority to sanction offenders, making it challenging to regulate premature campaigns. Stakeholders believe that premature campaigns distract leaders from governance responsibilities and erode public trust. On electoral integrity, the practice, they say, undermines the credibility of the electoral process and can lead to vote buying and undue influence. There are, however, potential consequences for premature campaigns that include increased campaign costs and voter fatigue. Let's now join our guest in the studio for a deeper insight into the issue of premature campaigns.
Thank you, Timothy Yusuf, for that background report. And we have our guests seated here to unpack this topic. And let me first introduce in the studio Victoria Etamersi, Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Independent Electoral Commission, INEC. Welcome to Good Morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you. And also seated here is one of our regular, Ezenwa Wago, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reforms. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Ezenwa. It's a pleasure to have you.
Also joining us in the studio this morning is Yusuf Dantale, the IPAC chairman. Mr. Yusuf, good morning to you. All right. And joining us via Zoom from Lagos is Honorable Adebayo Balogun. Is the chairman, House Committee on Electoral Matters. He represents Ibeju-Lekki Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, and he's from Lagos State, Eko Nibaje. Honorable, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Joining us. All right, let's begin our conversation this morning by laying the foundation for the discussion. Let's look at the Electoral Act of 2022. What are the provisions of this act regarding, election campaign?
Thank you once again for having me. So Section 94 and 95 of the Electoral Act speak to the issue of campaigns. Section 94 deals with when, and that's where we're told that 150 days to election and 24 hours before election, before the vote, campaigns must end. And so the fact is that campaigns cannot begin when the notice of election has not been released.
Okay.
Candidates must have emerged before you can even think of commencing campaigns. But what we're having now is contrary to that. Section 95 further goes to talk about the penalties. It just tells us that, it tells us how. No, Section 95 tells us how campaigns are to be conducted. Okay. So 94 talks about when and gives a paltry penalty for whoever conducts, for parties and candidates that conduct campaigns 24 hours to the election. So it doesn't give us, it does not state penalties for people who commence campaign before the window of 150 days. And that is why the commission is hamstrung and does not really have much to do with regards to what is happening now. So we can only effect penalties, or we can only sanction political parties if they conduct campaigns 24 hours to the elections.
So what does, I'm still staying with you, premature campaigns pose to governance and the electoral process? Because experts are saying that INEC does not have the teeth to bite.
That's if we're given the teeth.
Yes.
The teeth to bite will be given, or would be laid bare by the by the rules, by the laws, the extant laws. But then the laws do not enable or empower us to do much. And so what do you do when the law is not there for you to lean on to take action? Like I mentioned, 94 talks about what we can do. 150 days to election, that is when campaigns should begin. When you have candidates, nominated candidates by political parties. And this is almost 2 years to the elections and campaigns are everywhere. And the law is silent on that. And so there really isn't much that we can do as a commission, and which is why we expect and believe that other critical stakeholders, if they play their role, then the job would be made easier for us.
Okay.
There was another question you asked. Sorry, I missed that. I forgot.
Yes, yes. What I'm saying, you can't sanction, you can't penalize them,
Yes.
you can't sanction them, and some people are asking for an amendment to the electoral law.
Yeah,
to
that
give
was
you more powers to do that.
Yeah, that was the main discussion during the roundtable, because if the laws are not amended to give us the powers to take action, then we'll just be going around in circles and just feeling helpless, more or so to speak, because that is the situation that we're in now. You see that the law, you should see clear infractions, but there really isn't much that you can do, except if other critical stakeholders enforce and ensure that from their own end, they also hold the stick to the defaulters. And I think that with that, we could take a step or two forward.
Thank you very much, Madam. Ezenwa, just like Anishia said, you see clear infractions, but there's nothing anyone can do. You, as the chairman partners for electoral reforms, how do you think that the legal framework, can be refined to clearly define the premature campaign and impose stiff penalties on defaulters?
Well, I think we've been battling with definitions, the challenge of definitions. What constitutes campaign, and what kind of campaign are we dealing with? Political campaigns, campaign during elections. So the law, the enabling law is clear what will be a breach. So for premature campaign, the law does not contemplate that it is an offense.
So it is permissible.
The law, if the law does not penalize it, what are you quarreling with? And the big challenge also is that the activities of politicians come in ways that makes it difficult for you to pigeonhole it into the kind of definitions that you want. What do I mean? And I like what the APCON DG said in the convening that INEC did a week ago, close to a week ago, where he said, for instance, if somebody says Eze is coming or Demola is coming on a billboard, and I know that everybody knows that Demola wants to run election, and he goes there and says Eze is coming, you can't penalize anybody for putting Eze is coming, even when you are already clear that what that Eze is coming means that person will come to run elections. And not just that, I also pointed to the fact that there are many ways campaigns are held, and I'm happy that Honorable Adebayo is here. He threw the bomb in that same meeting about where do you start? Ordinary prolonged litigation in courts after an election is some sort subtle kind of campaign. Because by the time you are in court, every day you are in court, you are discussing what went wrong, what didn't go well, and all of that. And you even create victimhood. And victimhood is, you are meant to profit from that victimhood. At the end of the day, I've been shortchanged. The legal system is bad. They stole my mandate. As you are saying all of that, you are talking to the people to say, when next I come, please don't let them steal my mandate.
Let vote count.
So what I'm saying is that it's for me is we are just getting involved in legal niceties that will probably not even further and I like what the director of voter education said. We need to have a multi-stakeholder attitudinal response to whatever menace this constitutes. But once we go the legal route, I don't think we can achieve anything.
So there's a subtle way of campaigning, just on the tone, and but also experts are saying that it can distort people's mind. It can distort the way they think, because if you go about saying my mandate has been stolen, I need to get it back, and then it will encourage vote buying first of all, and talks gearing up for 2027. They are already doing that.
Juma, who is complaining? I think there are different. You can always flip this coin.
Okay.
And one way to flip the coin would be to say that you want to run election in Nigeria, and you are not doing anything. You are waiting for 150 days. It is the same citizens who will come and say you are not serious.
That is
she claims she wants to run for governor, she wants to go for, and she is not doing anything.
We are not seeing anything.
We are not seeing anything. And part of seeing anything that is done in the light of promoting that ambition.
Can you define the anything?
Whether you go for I wanted to leave that for our Honorable Adebayo. Whether you are going for consultation or you are going for empowerment, you are, whatever it is that you are doing. Some have even taken the process down to a very ridiculous level. They attend naming ceremonies, and in the course of attending the naming ceremony, they hog the microphone and begin to talk about themselves and
opposition.
How and what. If they are not going for that, they are going for weddings. They are going for to visit traditional rulers,
or
visit
even death,
burials and all of that. So every platform where people advance their aspiration can be defined as premature campaign. But can you criminalize aspiration? I think that's what we are contending with. Is it possible to criminalize aspiration?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dantale, is it that this premature campaign, people say, doesn't provide, level playing grounds for all aspirants, as some people will be shortchanged, and it has implication for our electoral, process. That is, the credibility is put to question now. What do you think? What do you say to that?
Thank you once again. You talk about democracy, and you talk about free, fair, credible elections. And we all know the indices of credible elections. For instance, INEC is empowered to monitor campaign spending, and this can only be done from 150 days to eve of election.
Okay.
But as it is practically impossible for INEC to track and monitor what is spent for a particular campaign. Yes, we can be playing with words. Politicians, we always want to circumvent the rules to get what we want. Yes, in as much as the law says, do not juxtapose the penalty beside it. We know what is right. You can consult, it's fine. We can have meetings, it's fine. But openly coming out, positioning posters, billboards, and everything, for me, I think it is an aberration. But while we are appealing to the National Assembly to come up with a new law, or to review the law to say, okay, at this point, if you do this, that is the penalty, from so-so date to so-so date. We are waiting for that. But then before that is done, we know when campaign is. We are not even a candidate. So if you are not a candidate, you can make your consultation. Wait until you become a candidate. 150 days is enough for anybody to sell his mandate to the people. That's about 30 days times 5. 5 months.
But from what Ezewa said, you know, naturally in this climate, in this part of in this country, most people will say, you say you want to contest. We are not seeing your hand. We don't see you. You don't talk to us. So how do you get our support? Or somebody that goes to, just like he said, goes to a naming ceremony and gave money out, you know, is it part of campaign as well? Because, you know, it will go with probably the media and they will, you know, they will blow it. This person gave money, or he went to flood victims, gave money and all that. Is that part of it?
Whatever it is okay to allow the people to preempt you. If I want to go into election, yes, I will consult. I can do all that. But coming out to say, Yusuf Dantele, Senate 2025, Yusuf Dantele, governorship, you're already campaigning. But you can go ahead and make your consultations and then give all these donations. For me, this is subtle and it's not bad, but the law is very clear, 150 days to the election. So we know what is right. We know what it is.
You just campaigned now.
But
You just campaigned now.
so the thing is that we should try to save the system, not to hit up the polity and not to confer undue advantage. But this thing is not peculiar to one person. It's at all levels, both the local government level, state level, and federal level. It's all over. It's both in opposition and then the incumbent. But the incumbent is more prevalent than the opposition.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's bring in the stakeholders who make the laws. You know, Adebayo Balogun is the chairman, House Committee on Electoral Matters. Clearly, premature campaigning raises legal, political, and of course, democratic concerns. Now, the big question is, will Nigeria find the will, the teeth to bite to ensure its own laws before 2027? People are calling for an amendment to the electoral law itself to give INEC more power to penalize, you know, defaulters, you know, on campaign. Let's hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, good morning once again. Well, Mr. Yusuf Dantale, sometimes I will say we should be careful what we wish for, because you represent all the political parties, and interests of all the parties should be paramount at this stage. And we should ask ourselves, why create a problem where there is none? The problem of when talking about campaign generally should be the issue. Why limiting it to the issue of the 150 days will be taking away the juicy part of this discussion. Because when we are talking about campaign generally, it starts from section 91 to 95. But the discussion today is just about section 94, which removes the main issue that we should be talking about. Because now we are looking about reviewing the law. And if we are reviewing the law, we should look at the whole law holistically. What are the major problems? In 91, it talks about the CP in conjunction with other security outfits to give protection to all politicians or political party candidates during their campaigns. It talks about where the state apparatus should not be used against anybody during the rally. These are issues that should concern every political party. When it comes to section 92, it also talks about why churches and religious houses, mosques and religious houses generally, should not be used for campaign. And you should not be able to discuss issue of campaigns during sessions like that, during religious sessions. And these areas that we usually hear. And these are the things that usually cause crisis in Nigeria. We know what happened during the last election, where the churches and mosques were turned to campaign ground. And these ones have implications. If you hear, you'll be penalized. There are fines. But we did not do anything on these areas. So when you're talking about limitations, which is section 94, it gives 150 days and the 24 hours before the general election. I will ask you, during the MKO annulment, June 12 annulment, this annulment process started on the day of election. MKO Abiola was accused of wearing a dress with a sign of unicorn, which looks like a horse. And you know, the horse is the symbol of SDP. So at the end of the day, it was him that he was campaigning on that day. And that was how the issue of annulment started. Yes, those in NLC were happy then that if they could disqualify MKO, that means that's good opportunity for them. They'll give it to NLC until they find out that, no, these people are not even ready to give it to anybody. They are ready to take it away. That's why NLC, everybody now joined against the annulment of June 12. So if we are not careful, the ruling party can use some of these things against the opposition. And that's why we should be looking at it holistically now. What are the issues that we should be discussing about campaign? What we call early voting, is it affecting any party? Is it giving advantage to any party? Should we even still leave that section, that subsection, 94 subsection 1? Do we still leave it as 150, between 150 days and 24 hours to the election? Should that subsection still be there? Those are the issues we should be discussing. Because if it doesn't give advantage to anybody, then why now criminalize it? Because what we're asking for now is to criminalize the 150 days before the election window. Though the 24 hours to the election has a fine of just 500,000 naira, which is just a mega, although we are already looking to reviewing some of these fines because of the value of naira today. So we should look at some of these issues clearly. Allocating equal media time to the political parties are issues that we should be looking. How effective are those ones? How are the ruling party in government not taking advantage of the opportunity and sidelining other political parties? I think these are the areas that are very germane, because under section 95, the access to equal access to media time is a major subsection there. That's subsection 2. These are areas that we should be concentrating on. Are they effective? Are they really complying? Are the media houses complying? These are the areas that I feel will enrich the polity at the end of the day.
Okay, Honorable Balogun, we have listened to you, but from your own perspective, do you think the premature campaign is heightening, the political space right now?
The chairman is there. Let me put that question to him. How is that affecting all the political parties? Because we are all doing it.
Yes,
we are all doing it, and I don't think anybody is complaining. Our job is to amend the law to ensure that it is fair to everyone, and not to even create laws that could be detriment to the minority or the opposition, because it's very important. I'm in the ruling party, so but I must be fair to every one of us, every political party. So because before we can commence some of this amendment, because okay, let's even define what is premature campaign. Just like Mr. Ezewa said, what is premature campaign? We do poverty alleviation, we do empowerment programs. There are many agencies, many governors do this monthly or quarterly stakeholders press conference, and you, at least the TV houses are there, the media houses are there. That means we are all comparable at the end of the day. And because we are not careful, it's going to affect even the media houses more, because we are the one publishing and broadcasting most of these issues. Because I might not be the campaign might not be showing my face, and it's just showing the logo, and it comes to the newspaper or any form of media house. Once it's broadcasted, then it becomes an offense against the media house itself. So you too should be looking at it. What do you think we should do at this stage? Is what we call a premature campaign. Is it really hurting anybody? Is it hurting the system? So if hurting the system, then these are the areas we now say, okay, how do we ensure that we reduce such situations? Because if we are not careful and we create a situation where the opposition would feel threatened, because as the government in power, that you can hide under so many situations. You can hide under giving the account of your stewardship, monthly account of your stewardship. This is what I do. This is what we've done, and it seem to be lawful. But when an opposition comes out and say we are going to do this, then that will be seen called campaigning. But when the incumbent is saying we have done this, then that is giving account of stewardship of what you have done. So where do we draw the line? What will be called campaign? What will be called giving account of stewardship? These are very important issues, and until we are able to get a good understanding, and that's why I'm very happy that IPAC is here, because this should be about giving fairness, being fair to all political parties, because the complaint must be coming from the political parties. Who is having advantage? Is anybody having any advantage over other parties? Is any party having advantage over other parties? And when someone said the campaign should start when you become a candidate, we are talking about trying to make sure that there is the political parties' primaries should be more democratic, internal democracy within the political parties. Before you emerge as a party candidate, are you not going to campaign? If you are going to have indirect primaries, we have a situation where sometimes even the number of membership could be so large, and you need to get to every one of them. You use the social media, you use the regular media to get to your party members. So when would you call them being premature? And lastly, if you are talking about being premature, in Nigeria today, election cycle now is no longer just the 1 year calendar, 1 year opening given by INEC after the notice. Every year now you have either a by-election or a governorship off-season election. So there's no year that we don't have election. We just concluded some of the by-elections in some of the states recently. Next month, November rather, will be an Anambra governorship election. Next year, we are going to have the Osun and Ekiti governorship election. Then 2027, the general election. And last year, we had some by-elections and Ondo governorship election. You see, every year there will be elections. So when do you now stop the campaign? And you cannot say because you are campaigning to be a governor, your party should not talk about the president. Because if I want people in my state to vote for me, to vote for my party, because we control the central, don't go vote for opposition so that we can be in line with the central government. So because you have to link it, it's an opportunity for you to make sure that your people vote for you because you want to connect with the center, because you are part of the ruling party. Then there's no way you will not be talking about the president at the end of the day. So these are issues.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Balogun. Your points are noted, and we'll come back to the studio so that Mr. Dantale can actually respond to some of the issues that you have raised, because he actually directed some to you, and also the role of the media and the civil society in mitigating this issue of premature campaigns. Do you want to respond to some of these issues?
Thank you so much. Good morning, my dear brother, Honorable Balogun. We are used to this once in a while, but at least we must say what we believe is right. In as much as it is not so injurious to the interests of any party.
Okay.
It is a distraction to leadership. You see, we should be able to separate politics from administration. When a government is voted into power for a period of 4 years, and you now see after just a year into the administration, people are already campaigning for that administration for 4 years that the government have not even done 2 years. So it is distracting to the administration. You now begin to see groups being formed just within 1 year, being formed to endorse, to campaign. These are some of the things that we are looking at. If not, the issue of this early premature campaign, everybody is guilty. All the political parties are guilty, not just one party. So these are some of the problems I am looking at. Distractions. Instead of the government to focus on giving people the dividends of democracy, you are already busy campaigning for the next election when you still have like 3 years or 2 years to still give people, and then that dividends of democracy in itself is campaign because the people are visibly seeing what you are putting on the table as dividends of democracy. This is my point.
Okay. All right. So let's bring in the Madam Mercy now. I mean, what can be done actually to hold maybe candidates or their political parties accountable, for premature campaign? Is there anything? Is there something that can be done?
Yeah, a lot can be done. Going back to the issue of interagency collaboration, multi-stakeholder collaboration in fixing this problem. A lot has been said by the Honorable. The culpability of the political parties. Yeah, even though when you're looking at elections, a credible election must be fair. Where's the fairness in this? If you're coming from the airport to town, all you see is one political party being marketed. The issue is, it's like it's the incumbents. It's not like it's actually the incumbents. When you have a political party in an opposition party in charge in a state, the same thing happens. So you arrive at the airport, the first thing you see is the governor and his president all over town. So the victims here are those who are not in office, the political parties that are not in charge. They do not have deep pockets. So where is the fairness? And so it erodes on the integrity of the process. That is the point we're making. I think those who coined the law were conscious of the fact that there had to be time for governance before we go into politicking, which was why they said, okay, 3.5 years, do what you said you would do. Then 5 months to election, then you can begin. So I think the timing is okay. And the politicians know that they are not supposed to start. And so what we see again is the fact that they are hiding behind third parties and proxies and using, because the law says political parties and candidates. And now they are saying they are not the ones. For instance, the billboards, the posters, support groups, support groups, and another issue that was brought up is how they are bypassing the capacity or the ability of the commission to track their spending. Because if you're spending, I think it was Mrs. Zewan that mentioned, the fact that if you're spending from the beginning of your tenure, how is INEC going to be able to track all that you're spending? And there is a peg on what you are allowed, depending on the election. And now you're using third parties. And so what is the source of the funding of those third parties? Are they your loyalists? Are they people who are trying to pay you back for services and for favors you did to them? And that was one of the recommendations that the keynote speaker gave, Professor Atahiru Jega, that EFCC needs to come in and ICPC to follow the money and track it and know the actual source. If it is the politicians that are giving the funds to the third parties, because then they come out and put their hands in the air and say, we don't know anything about it. And that was again why we brought in the DG of the Advertising Regulatory Council, because you cannot say you don't know who put up the billboards. Somebody paid for them. So you should be able to identify the people that have put up those billboards and posters all over town. I think the Honorable also mentioned the issue of the media. So we're giving oxygen to the fire when they go to naming ceremonies, they go to...
They will not showcase.
And then the media is helping them to put them in our faces or in the faces of the electorate. So if the media regulates itself, so to speak, the advertising regulatory body also does the needful. IPAC does its own job as well. And political parties advise themselves. I think we'll be able to take positive steps forward and to have a level playing field for all the political players.
To play well. Okay, we have some text messages that came in. Before I get to Ezenwa, let me read some of them that came in. He said, Charles Ikechuku from Aniocha North Local Government Area, Delta State, said, yes, we do not like premature campaigns, and there is a penalty or penalties for violation. For goodness sake, offenders should be punished accordingly. Let's use our party to set an example. Another one said, Massa, mobilizing fellow market women for collection of PVC, is it against the law? And Jack Abba from Makudi said, one begins to wonder what our lawmakers are doing by coming up with laws that cannot be implemented. Our discussants are united in quoting various sections of the existing law supposedly needed to deal with the lawbreakers. What then is too difficult in finding the best answers to it, especially as such campaigns are no doubt hitting the polity when government needs to concentrate on expending democratic dividends. Now, as the honorable member has, raised issues on the media. Madam Mercy has also raised issues. So how can the civil society and the media itself put pressure on politicians to respect the law? How can we do it when they have all the power and the money?
I will come to that question, but I think there's the failure of first is the failure of institutions. Government, positioned government, has responsibility to use various means to tell the populace what it is doing. But the problem we have in Nigeria, in my own view, is that we have more opposition figures than we have opposition parties. So those opposition figures appropriate the responsibility of the opposition party, which has responsibility to look at policies of government, criticize them, and provide alternatives. This should be running as government is going on. But what we have is that you always have people who are permanently wired for power and contest. So every time for them is about how to get power and how to retain it. So that distracts us from, holding people accountable. If an opposition political party in the National Assembly is taking on, for instance, your cash transfer, money cash transfer, and telling us this is why it's not good, this is what should be done, or you take, remove fuel subsidy remover, I'm just using all of those issues that, confront, that's not campaign. But when you go to eat corn and you take the media, even if you have not put a billboard, we know ordinarily why will you take media to go and be eating corn and drinking pure water in public? There's something you are doing and it is wrong. Now, civil society, media, I always say it that we are the ones they want to use our head to break coconut that everybody will eat. The people who perpetuate the inconveniences know that what they are doing is creating distraction and tension. And the challenge is that the one in position, like Honorable Balogu, them are members of the ruling party, they constitute majority in the National Assembly. Honorable Balogu may want to be fair, but It's not everybody in the ruling party that doesn't want to hold to his side. They make laws that advance their interests. We need to have statesmanly lawmakers, people who think the way he's thinking, who is thinking about level playing ground, who is thinking about making laws that. But today the truth is that these are distractions, and the distractions are not just by member, because government has a responsibility to say this is what we are doing, but you need opposition parties to counter and bring alternatives. But that has been outsourced to opposition figures. And these opposition style figures start from even when they know they have lost election. They know. They go to court, and then every time that matter is coming on, they are addressing press conference, they are talking. All of those is deliberate manipulation that creates tension. And Mrs. Victoria was talking about the fact that incumbents are notorious already for abuse of privileges. We know that. But go to opposition political parties headquarters today and go and see how many billboards that are there, that are already, today I'm talking now, you can just drive out. You will see billboards already with even logo. Because if the ones you are talking about from the airport, for instance, you cannot see a party logo on it. There is no party logo. What you see is who you know. And then if you want to hold somebody responsible, that's where the definition that I started with. Who campaigns? The person that campaigns according to the law must be a candidate, not an aspirant. An aspirant does not campaign. He's doing consultation by the law. So you see billboard that has no logo, the person has not infracted on any law. The one that will say is, if you see a billboard, for instance, that is saying Eze, President, 2007, Party ABC, INEC cannot hide under any finger to deal with that. But if you see my picture on the airport road, okay, and yes. I'm not saying that, you can't come and hold up. Even AMCON cannot say I will not take that advert. He can't say so.
It's just a picture.
It's photo.
It doesn't say anything.
You know what it's saying, but by law, it's saying nothing.
Nothing.
There's no assumption in law, right?
Does it raise tension? If there's a consensus, because if the chairman of IPEC is in a room, civil society, media, everybody were in a room, and we all agree that this has become a problem and we need to deal with it, we will not use law to deal with it. We will use persuasion. Because the law does not capture everything and it has no capacity to do so. But people who want to take dubious advantage will always find loopholes, and that is why you have a permanent industry of constitutional and electoral amendment. It's a permanent, because lacunas are deliberately implanted in laws that people take advantage of. To ensure that they beat the system. When you have a multi-stakeholder engagement, we can tell you that, forget that English, that billboard we saw. We know what you are doing. Why don't you remove this thing? Remove it from that place. Is distracting us. And then the man says, oh, INEC will say, I can't do anything. But INEC also has regulatory capacities. If you find those things there and you say, look, this thing is bad, you write, like they did some time ago. They made that announcement that they are opposed to premature campaign, and then this convening is also a reaction to that, to get people's feelings, general consensus around those issues. Okay. And I think we should support that to be able to get to. But let's not go the legal route. Okay. Once we go the legal route, we are already working on a black alley. Okay,
Ezenwa, thank you very much. We have more comments here. Let me just read out so that Mr. Dantale can respond to some of these. This one says, this one is from Arabi Kende Paul from Life Camp, Abuja. It says, good morning. I don't think we should have any time for selling the ideology of your party. The party in office is already campaigning with results of what they have done in the office. What we need to look at this time is to check the setting up of structured campaigns. Then this one is John Audu from Makodi. Thanks for this program on the NTA. Ordinarily, by the Constitution, none should be above the law. But in most instances, some individuals are. Campaigns are already on by most governors who are still left with 2 years into their 4 years tenure. Now this one says, this one is Binta Sulaiman. It said, good morning, Saz and Ma in the studio. Please, I would like to know, should media houses refuse to advertise the so-called premature campaigns? Mr. Dantale.
Okay, thank you. Before I answer this question, I want to respond to what he said when it comes to opposition figures versus opposition parties. You see, what we have succeeded in doing in the Inter-Party Advisory Council is to ensure that political parties don't heat up the polity through their members. When a government is voted into, there are so many situations that parties will come, this is what is happening now, to no, allow it. This government is just a year, this government is just 2 years, let's give them. But we can talk to the government from behind so that it doesn't look as if parties are just coming out to antagonize. So for those who cannot do that, through their parties will go behind to do it independently. Not that the parties are weak, okay, or not able to oppose the policies of other, but we have tried in IPAC to ensure that the system doesn't heat up unnecessarily. So we talk to ourselves once in a while not to do that. Okay. Yes. And secondly, I also agree with you, and I agree with Honorable Balogu when he said let's not do something or embark on a journey that will tie ourselves. I agree with him based on what you said, because there are situations where opposition figures will go and make, would go and produce photographs, and then they go and paste it or in the name of
and do it
against the opposition. As well. So they will just to preempt that person or to discredit or to fight or for whatever reason. So I think that alone, that is another angle that we should be looking at. And that's why I agree with Honorable Balogu with what he said when he said we shouldn't tire ourselves. But yes, at the end of the day, at the end of the roundtable that we had on last week, the past INEC chairman, Professor Atairu Jega, said something which you just emphasized, that we should try and have a multi-stakeholder discussion on what should be and what shouldn't be when it comes to campaigning, rather than embarking on some of the laws. But still, I still believe we need some regulations that will come from the Legislative House to see that these things are taken. Because INEC already is at a disadvantage to track, because if INEC must track the campaign spending, INEC should be able to track from when. But with what is happening, INEC cannot. So okay, these are the issues.
Okay, INEC cannot. Let's bring in Honorable Balogun, because we've run out of time. We have another topic to discuss. So are you looking at now regulating billboards, media ads, and project launches before the official window for campaigning begins?
Can you repeat that again?
Asking you, are you looking at regulating billboards, media ads, and project launches before the official rollout of campaign begins by 2027 or 2026, let's say?
You see, there are penalties if you, I think for the 24 hours window. What we are saying now is, should it be extended to the 150 days? Yes, it's been stated that you should not campaign within the 150 days window. Should there be penalties for them? And what I'm saying is going to be based on what the stakeholders at the end of the day feels. We are the lawmakers. Ours is to get opinions of the public, all the stakeholders. That's why I said I'm happy the IPAC chairman is there, Ezewa at least representing the CSOs and the general public. What do we really want? We won't want a situation where advantage will be taken, even by the ruling party. We are supposed to be the umpire. It's not about a position that I want. It is what do we want? And it is what you want that will now put into the law. As of today, there is no penalty for the 150 days window. So nothing INEC can implement in that area. But there are so many other areas under section 91, 92, 93, and 95 that makes fairness, that makes campaign to be fair. And that's why I say we are limiting ourselves to just one area that can be so sensational and will never get anywhere. How do we protect other political parties? How would the ruling party not take advantage during campaigns? A ruling party can make sure that they buy all the airtime and give no room for all the small parties to even campaign at all. These are areas that are very important. And the law has already stated that every 95 says that there should be equal access to the media time. Even the prime time must be shared equally as long as you are able to pay. So these are areas that we should also be looking at. Are they good enough? Should they be expanded? So we are putting too much effort on the section 94, which by definition might even be very, very difficult to hold. What is a campaign? We have the monthly media chart. We have even it's only giving that section 94 will only compound the problem because it will give more power to the ruling party, because you do so many things in the name of media chart, in the name of giving account of your stewardship, and the opposition will have nowhere to hide. So it is left for you, the public, even the media houses. You are going to be major corporate because you are the one that will be broadcasting most of these so-called campaign, and you'll be held liable if you hear.
Okay, Honorable Balogun, on that note, we thank you so much for your contribution to this conversation. We've run out of time, and I'm sure there will be another time to talk about this. Honorable Adebayo Balogun, Chairman, House Committee on Electoral Matters. He represents Ibeju Lekki Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. He is from Lagos State. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us via Zoom.
Now let's have your parting shots. How do we begin to close the gaps, that has been, noted, in this reform?
I think the point has been made that the ruling party, the major parties, are the bullies in this game. The smaller parties that do not have any office or have fewer offices are the victims. It also established that, it's not just one party. Some opposition party states you go and the same thing is happening. But we can't run away from the fact that we need electoral reforms. We must give INEC the powers to do what the people expect us to do. We're receiving the backlash, receiving the attacks that we're not taking action, but we cannot take action when we do not have any legal backing. So there has to be some form of electoral reform. If I can just chip in, if you go, I know the experience in South Korea where the state is responsible for campaigns for all the political parties. So the billboards, the posters are put up by the government on behalf of all the political parties. And so there is equity. So if you have 50 posters, it goes round 50 for all the political parties. Not here where you have 5,000 for one party and then the other party is struggling to have 5 posters. Yes. So there must be some form of electoral reform
review
to address
of the
that.
Electoral
Yes,
Act itself. So Victoria Etemesi, Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Eze Nwagu, Chairman Partners for Electoral Reforms. Thank you so much for coming. It's a continuous conversation.
Yeah, I think we should also be very clear what is opposition in Nigeria, because many of them, the fluidity of party movements. You can so let's be clear.
Yes, cross carpeting. Yusuf Dantale, IPAC Chairman. Thank you so much for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your input into this conversation. It's a continuing conversation. We'll keep talking about it. We'll take a break. When we return, our next conversation on train derailment and the Abuja-Kaduna way, I will commence. Don't go away.